Did you ever, before 2008 and the new 2010, sorry, and the new constitution, did you ever regret the kind of electoral rules you had in Hungary, in the sense that Fidesz got, Fidesz is a governing party for our audience, got an absolute majority, 52% of the votes, but got a qualified majority of seats in the parliament. So they behaving like if actually almost 70% of the people had voted for them, while only half did and the other half didn't. And this happened because of those electoral rules. So don't you think, wouldn't you advocate, and did you think about this before this happened? Like, well, actually, maybe it would be better to have a more proportional representation and not this system that gives over-representation to the winner and allows these things to happen, like writing a new constitution lonely without negotiating with any of the other political forces, etc.
It's a very interesting question. I must admit I never thought that the electoral system we introduced at the beginning of transition would ever lead to an authoritarian streak in the political development. This type of a majoritarian system in itself cannot be blamed for the authoritarian behavior of Fidesz. You have many well-established democracies in the world where they deliberately wanted to give more preference to the relative majority, go no further than the United Kingdom, where you can have an absolute majority with 30% of the vote, because it's a first past the post system. It's even worse, quote unquote, than the Hungarian, than the previous Hungarian system. You can have an absolute two-third majority with 30% of the vote. The mathematics would allow that to happen. But in the UK you have the democratic culture. And that's, I think, an even more important ingredient. On the one hand you have the legal guarantees, but on the other hand you should have the moral and cultural guarantees and underpinnings of democracy. I would have never thought that Fidesz would abuse this two-third majority to change the constitution, to destroy the pension system, to nationalize the private pension funds, to destroy all the checks and balances in the democratic political system. So it's a great lesson, I must say, for all of us in Hungary, which leads me to say that people who basically did not have to fight for democracy, but got it as a gift after the political changes, may not have appreciated this democratic development that much. They were concentrating too much on the material elements, jobs and well-being, which is, don't get me wrong, extremely important, especially if you want to have a pluralistic society. But I have no choice but to go back to my previous theme, which is that without freedom you ultimately will lose your bread as well. So now the task for the Hungarian political elite is to try to join forces and unite in such a way that the basic pillars of a democratic political system can be restored, and together with that, of course, more rational and more successful and coherent and consistent economic policy can also lead to, as I said, sustainable economic growth. It's a huge, tall order. It is not necessarily something which will inevitably happen, but I think now the Hungarian society is increasingly realizing that it was a mistake to give a two-thirds majority to a party which is not a strong believer in democracy.